Let's go through another example where auto layout might come in handy. So you know that as designers, especially if you're working on dashboards, you're going to be tasked with designing tables. So let's just imagine that this is some kind of a dashboard, and on this particular screen we're going to have some kind of a table. So what are some elements of a table? We need to have labels. So let's just create something like a label. Yeah, that can honestly stay a little bit smaller like this. We're gonna have inside of those tables probably something like this, where it's gonna be table text. Maybe on some lines it's gonna be table text and something smaller, and I'm gonna make this really small like this, because tables often require us to kind of save up on space. So maybe something like this, where it's a description. Okay, so those things can already just move into an auto layout. I'm not sure, we might need some kind of a number in here. So when it comes to numbers, I'm gonna switch just this for a second, sorry. When it comes to numbers, it's often better to have monospace setting turned on, just because then when you have numbers like 1 and you're comparing things like this, all of the characters are falling into line. While without it, let me just demonstrate. We don't have it turned on. You can see how they're mostly focusing on ensuring that kerning is really great between the characters. But when it comes to numbers like this, it's better to actually keep things spaced evenly. And when it comes to numbers, I always align them to the right, and therefore we're going to have a label that's also aligned to the right. Just call it label R. There might be some other things, so I don't know, just for the sake of it, I'm gonna add it as an icon in here, and maybe more as an icon too. I'm gonna grab both of those, just make this some regular number. If I grab them like this, I can just reset that from 0.3, which is ridiculous, to something normal. Okay, yeah, that's working. And let's just resize both to 24. One thing that happens is sometimes they're not actually frames, they're groups. So I'm just gonna switch that, because I do prefer them as frames. We don't need this empty item in here. And let's go into the size of this, and I'll put it at 1.5. Okay, fill. Oh, they have. Oh, so the dots are fills, but the icon is a stroke. Okay, I think that's most of the things that we're gonna need for a frame like that. I'm gonna make the table full width like this. All of the labels, I think I'm gonna just keep at 20. So let's just make this 20 for now. And that's a frame for our labels. So let's place this one as the first one in here inside of this frame. And let's also place this one in here just for the sake of it. And let's turn this into an auto layout. Let's drag it like this. And for now, let's just make both of them fill the container. And let's make this something very small that we can use for all of the paddings. So in here you can see right now that in this main frame we can add as many columns as needed quite easily. Perfect. Another thing that we need to do is we need to add some padding in here, maybe not that much, maybe something like this, and yeah, I think that's going to be fine. Let's add a stroke, and the stroke is just going to be on the bottom, and let's pick this color and grab something a little bit darker so the stroke is noticeable but still not too much. Okay, great. Let's position this at an okay place from the top. You know what, I'm just gonna add like page name here, something like this, so that it feels a little bit more realistic. Again, maybe I'm just adding additional details that don't really have to be here, but yeah. And you can envision that in here there might be some kind of a button or something too. Cool. Let's now make the actual rows. So a row might be something like this. Good size for the row of a column can be something like 48 or 56 or even 64. Again, depending on like how tight you want the table to fill. I'm gonna add this as the bottom one. And when it comes to the stroke color, I'm just going to grab this. Again, once we go through a couple of more modules, you're going to learn some things that are not going to require you to actually color pick things, because we're going to set up some styles for ourselves. But yeah, that's how we can do it right now. We have this as a frame. And what we're going to do is we're going to create frames out of all of these items. So this is 50. Maybe I'm not gonna even need it. Sorry, thinking about it as I'm kind of designing. If we put this in here like this, and we had another one for the number on that side, and we just turn this into an auto layout, we can make the size of the main auto layout fixed. And we can have these as items that are going to be inside. The spacing in here is 24, as we already agreed, and both of them should just have fill container. Okay, if we add another item like this in here, now the sizes of everything change, so maybe that's something to consider. Because for most of these we're actually going to want this to be the way that we handle it, and maybe we can make the spacing a little bit smaller like this, so we have it at a height of 64. Okay, that means that both of these layers just account for all of the things that might happen in here, because the highest level of layer that we have is 40, which takes into account the main item, whatever it is, and the description below it. So we're actually going to have to come inside and have those as fixed height and put them at 40. You can center them like this to ensure that both of them are actually centered. I'm gonna actually put both of these in their own auto layouts. But I don't want to switch this, so I'll just fake it for a second. You know how some tables have icons that are used as actions? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create this, and then yeah, that's perfect. And we can either keep the fill, maybe it's actually going to work, or remove it. Let's decide once we add this icon inside. And I'm going to add another one, and this one is going to, instead of a pencil, be more options like this. Since those options do have a lot of spacing right now in between them. I'm just gonna, from both of them, create an auto layout and make the spacing smaller like this. And we can still keep it like that, or we can add some padding in here as well, maybe like this, but we need to add it to here as well. So the padding is the padding in here on the left and right side that appeared and kind of keeps our table a little bit more scannable. Not sure if 20 is maybe too much or not, but I can always make it a little bit smaller. Let's keep it like that for now. Okay, so what we're gonna need in here is for our actions, which are now at the width of 84. Maybe we can make that a little bit bigger and kind of ensure that in the future we can add more of these. I'm not sure about it at the moment, so I'm just gonna make this say actions, and I'm gonna make it fixed width, and the width is gonna be the same as the actions in here. So I'm making this width of 84 represented in here as well. So we know that those are actions. Maybe those are not, they don't have to even be explained, so you can just kind of hide it as a layer, and that's just going to be the layer that's used to ensure that the labels are at the right place. As you can see, we also have another label in here, and for both of those I'm actually going to make fill container and fill container. And now we have something like an email. This is going to be the name and role, maybe. Again, in a table you might have situations like this where two items are in the same row. Most of the cases, if you have enough spacing, it's actually better to make it its own thing in here, and maybe that's gonna be like a wage. And employees. Okay, so we have this completed like it's supposed to be done, and now you can see that you can just go inside and add another item in here, add another item in here as well, and just have this as name, name, email. This is going to be role, and maybe that's going to be role, and this is going to be a description of the role if anyone is unaware of what that role actually does. Perfect. We can add another item like this. You can decide if this is going to be some kind of a zebra print or not. 3, 5, 1, 2, 3, 5, 5, 4, 5. Okay, and let's make this into an auto layout as well. So this main one should be fixed width, all of the other ones should be fill container, all of the ones inside should be more like fill container, besides this one, which needs to go back at fixed width, and I think it was 84, and everything's aligned very nicely at the moment. For all of these, if you ever need to remove a role, you can just kind of hold command and delete things, and same things happening here. So you now have a pretty good working table where everything is filling the space as it's supposed to. Let's make this like $5,000. Maybe just for scannability, we can also make this a little bit lighter, like this. Again, something that I wouldn't do like that in all of the other parts. You can hold command, as I've said, and just select some of this. So I'm going to do that for all of these numbers, and then I'm going to replace them by holding command option shift V to replace them with all of the paste styles. In here, when it comes to the role, that's gonna take some tapping. I think it's gonna be easier than trying to deselect the descriptions. I'm gonna go into content reel, And under text, I'm gonna look for a job title. Perfect. For all of these, I'm gonna again go into content reel and just use name. Apply all. For all of these, I'm gonna go inside content reel and I'm gonna put in email. Apply all. And you can see how we basically fill the table with a lot of these things pretty quickly, and it's working as an auto layout. We can always kind of add and remove items as needed, and when it comes to rows, we can also erase something pretty quickly as well if needed. And if another one needs to be added, that's also something that we can do pretty quickly. You just need to ensure that the labels fill in the space as they're supposed to. If you ever want to ensure that something is spaced out and it has enough space, so you can see in here, this email is kind of almost touching the edge of the width that we have planned for it. So we can move in here into fixed width, and we should be able to. I'm unsure of why it doesn't allow me to change the width of this item, but I'm just gonna basically select this and maybe make it like 296 and go into email and make it 296 as well. So if you want to ensure that something has enough space for it to fill in, you can change those things as well in here. But yeah, hopefully this was helpful and you've learned a lot of different tips on real life examples of some places where you're going to use auto layout. Again, to really see the power of this, we're going to have to learn about components and then kind of combine styles, components, and auto layout to ensure that we're building our products and designs the right way. So I'll see you in the next module.